Matt in Managers. We are back. Colonial week, which means the PGA Championship is behind us, which means another major for Scottie Scheffler. Lots to talk about, lots to break down because Scottie's playing again this week.
Fun fact.
He's on a mission to win 4 straight starts against us here. But how much did you watch? Because I know you had you told us last time on the pod last week, that you had multiple concerts lined up for PGA Championship week. So how were the concerts? Were they the same each time? Were they different? And how much of the golf did you get to watch?
Yeah, I mean, something that we've talked about before, some of your biggest, most important sweats are during a festival or a concert or venue that you don't have great connection. And that happened to me this weekend, but that's the way it was. The shows were amazing. Every single day was different. A nice little festival, music festival in Daytona Beach. So we'll do it again if I had to, but I'm definitely not feeling my best right now. You know how those days after the concert, like you after Coachella, was not feeling your best, still had a little bit in your system, but fueled by tequila all weekend, 10 hours in the sun, 100 degrees inside the racetrack. It was pretty cool. So yeah, I'm feeling great, but I'm ready to pot. Hi, dog.
When you were at the racetrack, were you imagining like a DP World Tour video and they like hit it down the racetrack for like longest distance? Were you drumming up any DP World Tour content ideas while you were inside the track?
Especially when I gave Terrell Hatton a bad boots report, and then I just couldn't stop thinking about the 1 yard fairway when it was literally like on like one little strip of runway. Got those vibes when I was inside at the racetrack. That was my second time there at Daytona. One was for the Daytona 500, and then this time was for the music festival. And I will say, nothing. You know how the music that I listen to. I'm always listening to loud music. Nothing in the world is louder than a Daytona 500. It is. Nothing will comp that. It was literally, I think I'm still hearing things from when I was at the 500 in February. And this festival didn't come close to the cars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned Terrell Hatton. There was a brief moment, no more than 30 minutes, where I had regrets about cashing out Hatton on the bad boots report. And right when I started to wonder if I'd made a mistake, I realized, well, in a way, it didn't matter because the person I replaced Hatton with didn't come close to winning. So in that way, it didn't matter. But the regret of cashing out Hatton and then having a mix, regret went away when I think he made a 7 on 18. And then I was like, honestly, I'm glad that I didn't, because I would have been so annoyed to witness this, knowing this was what was going to happen. But it was scary there for a second.
Yeah, he went on a nice little run Friday morning, made a few birds, and was looking solid. Then it came undone, and then he never recovered after that. So I guess a good call on not betting Hatton.
I don't know how much Colonial will talk, because at the end of the day, there's only 4 majors a year, and we need to break down what happened. We need to talk about the impacts on dog. We need to think about what it might mean for the long term, chat through what you saw out there, the boots report, the results, all that stuff. And let's just start at the top. Scottie Scheffler wins it. You didn't have great eyes on the final round, I would imagine, from your situation.
Did not have great eyes in the final round. I got the last thing I saw like on my stream was Tony making bird on 9 after he had a nice little finish. He birdied 7, 8, 9, and I'm like, all right, we're going into 10. And
after that for Tone,
I tracked and I saw. And the subs know that I was sweating Tony Finau in the without market. So got to 6 with 10 to play, one of the easier holes, post 7, then off to the races. And then, like, obviously, it's a cesspool for connection. You know how it is. I had nothing. And then as soon as I got out, I'm like, he finished at like -3, -2. How is this even possible? Saw it all go down. But definitely give me a little rundown of what happened there.
Yeah, and I had good eyes pretty much every day of the event. There's only the 4 majors a year. I try my best to get my schedule in place where I know I can watch a lot of golf. And it was such, in a way, like, I've been thinking about it a lot. It was vintage Scottie. And it's not a tournament that people are going to go back and remember all these crazy shots and all this amazing stuff that happened. That's not what it's going to be. But they're going to look back and see Scottie Scheffler won by 5 or 6 shots. 5 shots. It was 6, but yeah, he played 18, very casually, I would say, and missed.
Like he did at the Masters.
Yeah, my girlfriend was watching and she was joking that was he going to like tap it around on the green to pad his stats, and I was like, honestly, that is a good take, because we joke that he could do that because he's often ahead by so much. And But you're going to look back, see that he won by 5, and there were stretches of golf that is why Scottie is what he is, which is the golfing machine, #1 strokes gained dog, #1 in the world. And the first 2 rounds, he didn't even play good.
No, you see my tweet on Thursday? I said Scottie played like a club pro, easy 69. Easy 69.
Yeah, again, it's because the first 2 rounds, he wasn't hitting it that great, but he was scrambling great. His around the green numbers were off the charts. And then finally, there was a 5-hole stretch, Saturday afternoon, 14 to 18, when he stuffed it to tap in range for eagle on the par 4, then made birdie on 15, and then birdied 17 and 18. When 17 and 18, Bryson had just ejected, and obviously we'll talk about all these guys and what happened, but he has that burst of truly generational golf, like as perfect of golf as you could possibly play in those conditions. That gives him the advantage. He blows the advantage entirely the first 9 on Sunday with one of the worst balls. I don't have the exact stats, but it had to be one of his worst ball striking 9s in his career, with like easily one of his worst.
It was the left miss was in play. Is that correct? It was like every hole he was just pulling it. Saw that. Then the one birdie I saw on number 2, he hit it off the planet, got a great break, and then because I was tracking a little bit with Jack who had Scottie, and we were like, oh, I was like, dude, he might be gone here. Then I'm like, oh, he's got a perfect line of pine straw, easy 15-foot birdie, like classic Scottie.
Yeah, he did have, I will say, a handful of truly lucky breaks throughout the week, but I'm not in any way implying this is a luck block victory. Scottie was clearly the deserving winner this week, but just pointing out that too, what you just brought up, yeah, like that could have been bogey easily. He gets a clean shot to the green, makes birdie. But that front 9, he couldn't hit any of his clubs. Like it was the driver was off, the irons were off. He was not striking it well at all. Lost 2.2 strokes, I think, ball striking, which is unheard of for Scottie in 9 holes to lose 2.2 strokes ball striking. But then, and shout out to Dottie, because Dottie's the GOAT, and I love when Dottie's covering a final group. She mentioned, or Scottie makes birdie on 10, and then all of a sudden, from there on out, he hit pretty much every shot perfectly. And she noted that he slowed down just ever so slightly in his backswing. You could almost sense a pause in the way at the top of his backswing that you don't usually see from Scottie. He was just getting everything timed back up, had that quick miss under the pressure early. His ability to be basically nosediving in the final round, playing the worst golf that he's probably played in some time. Like, what the fuck is going on? Snap out of that, pull away right as it gets tough. That is Scottie. That is why he is what he is. And that's why this was vintage Scottie. And I think a perfect way for him to win a tournament.
I'm not sure any player on earth can really do that. Like actively slow themselves down when in the middle of the heat and take care of the situation, because we know how it gets under the gun. Well, we don't know how it gets. We know how guys get under the gun. We know how it gets. And yeah, I mean, Scottie being able to do that, which I obviously didn't see those last few holes on Sunday. That's impressive stuff, and it goes to show the guy he is.
And it's why it's almost not fair. And this is why he is the odds that he is every week. And this is why he wins at an unbelievable clip. He's both the most skilled golfer. He has the most shots. And now he's much better at putting. Like his putting looks solid. He missed a few that he could have made, but it wasn't terrible. He gained 2.4 strokes putting, which is great for Scottie when he's gaining over 4 in all the other categories. But he's also #1 in strokes gained dog. And strokes gained dog takes out the skill.
And strokes gained caddy.
And strokes gained caddy. He's #1 in all of. What can you do? What can you really do? Because we'll talk some strokes gained caddy, because I have one of my strongest anchors, I would say, at a caddy that I think I've ever had. Maybe not ever had, because this is built up over time, but I have some strokes gained caddy talk. But it got to the back 9. He was tied with Rahm, another top player. What do we say strokes gained dog is? Tied on the back 9 in a major. What happens? Scottie trounced him. Same thing with Bryson on Saturday. Bryson shot up to the lead. Scottie put him away. What are we supposed to, what are not we from a betting perspective and the rest of the golfers from a playing perspective supposed to do when he's #1 in all the stats? He's #1 in strokes gained dog and #1 in strokes gained caddy.
I don't know if there's an answer. Maybe the players can find a way to play in the without Scottie market going forward. We could maybe pitch that idea to the tour, but that might be the only option for the guys on tour.
Honestly, because Rahm, and it might make sense to talk about each of these guys individually outside of Scottie and just give Scottie his due, because there was interesting things that happened with a variety of the other top players, especially from like a strokes gained dog perspective. But I was just like, I was really confused by what was happening, first of all, to Scottie at the beginning of the final round. I feel like everybody went into that final round, or I guess going into the final round when he was up by 3 over Alex Noren, of all people, and 5 over, shout out Viking Cup also. I mean, unbelievable for the Viking Cup.
Unbelievable stuff. Grinder beyond grinder.
To have Noren up there with the twist. But 5 clear of like Rahm and the rest of the guys you thought maybe would give him a run for his money. Did you feel like there was any chance he was going to lose going into Sunday?
Not. I wouldn't say there's a chance that he was going to lose going into Sunday. I did see a point where Rahm was tied at one point, correct? Then I saw he was one back, and then after I got out of the concert, I saw Rahm ejected. So, talk to me about that little sequence. How did that go down? He didn't make birdie on the par 5. Didn't make birdie on the short par 4. Is that correct?
Rahm. It was interesting because we all know Rahm as angry golfer, like running hot all of the time, fist pumps when it's going good, shock and dismay when anything goes against him. And he had gone on with Amanda after the round on Saturday and said he's really trying to reorient his thinking towards not blaming the world for when things go wrong to Jon Rahm. And it's like, fair enough, because you probably need to do that to improve under the gun. But as golf tends to be, as soon as you make that statement, he was on this unreal run. It was tough out there. It was, and shout out the course and shout out you for talking through what you thought the conditions were going to be with the firm greens. By the time the final round came around, the greens were cement. They were unbelievable. Yeah. And Rahm in that final round was the only guy making a move, only guy making birdies. It was so hard to make birdies. He was bogey free, I think, with 3 birdies going to 13, which is a tough par 3. Speaking of par 3s, shout out Siwoo. Siwoo with aces on Troon. When the leaders were hitting driver off of the tee on the par 3 on 17
into a 35-mile-an-hour wind. That's a 270-yard hole.
Driver into headwinds with a green that's not even that big, and Siwoo aces that, and then he aces 6 when I think there was 1 birdie the whole day that day, and he makes an ace.
All-time Selly too. All-time Selly.
Unbelievable.
Siwoo had some nice Siwoo had some moments this week. I saw the Sig moment. I saw him chip in, and he went crazy too. So shout out Siwoo. Always great vibes.
I love Siwoo, and everybody who plays with Siwoo plays well, because Scottie played with Siwoo in the Saturday round, and then Rahm was playing with him on Sunday, and so Rahm gets to 13, this tough par 3. He just tied Scottie. Scottie's going to the par 5. I think Scottie might be in the bunker. Like, it's hard to say what's going to happen with Scottie. And up, and like I said, he's literally nosediving in a way that I've never seen from Scottie. I'm like, what is going on out here? This is crazy. And it wasn't like Scottie was choking. He just was making bogeys and wasn't looking like peak Scottie. Rahm gets to 13. He's above the hole, hitting like a 25-footer. And if you were above the hole, you had to hit the ball like a foot. They were lightning coming downhill. He hits like a massive breaker, very similar. As it's rolling, I'm thinking of him against Louis at the U.S. Open on 18, where it's bending in. And first of all, I was like, that fucking sucked when that happened.
That hurt.
That one hurt.
Olympia Fields too.
Yeah. As it's rolling to the hole, it's in. I've never been more certain 5 feet out that a putt was going dead center. He starts to like slope walk backwards to get ready for the fist pump. No clue how it doesn't go in. It catches the high lip at like 0 miles an hour down the hill and somehow lips out, doesn't go in. But to his credit, he doesn't get that upset. Stays tied with Scottie. He goes to 14, 15, as people who watch know. 14 was that drivable par 4, and par 5 was there wasn't many clear birdie opportunities out there, but these were definitely 2 of them. He hit such a good drive into 14. If it landed 1 foot left of where it landed, it would have been with inside 15 feet for eagle. Kicks right into the bunker, which is a pretty tough bunker shot. Scottie ended up being the only one in the final groups who really got it up and down, but goes into the bunker. And from there, he missed like an 8-footer for birdie, missed like an 10-footer for birdie on 15. And then it was kind of over after that. But I will say, tough breaks a little bit for Jon Rahm, but he should have not said anything because the golf gods tested him too much.
Yeah, I surely was not scared of Rahm, because my strategy this week was I went to the without Scottie market, Scottie Rory. I did think Rahm was going to be a threat to that, and clearly was in the mix come Sunday afternoon. So if I were to have lost to Rahm, I would have been a little bit upset. And I mean, another T8 and a T10 and a live start, hang the banners for Rahm. But yeah, I think it's coming for him in a major this year. I really do. I really think he's going to get one. Whether that be, only 2 left.
I was looking back, or I was looking at the preseason one and done selections. congrats, by the way. You had Scottie in the preseason. And I brought that up because I have Rahm at the US Open. And now I'm feeling, I didn't like at the beginning of the year, that was kind of just, a hunch, but I'm feeling a lot better about that now. Because going to the US Open, which is obviously where Rahm has one of his majors so far, all signs, are just screaming green lights for Jon Rahm going forward. His mentality seemed great. He didn't seem like from a dog perspective, this is ultimately the question where we slot him in, because he was only 13 in the dog rankings in the I think he kind of needs
I
to
think
say
that's
that.
fair. I think that's a fair number too, because even thinking back to what he's doing on Live, like he's not really getting in the mix either. He's kind of just like backdooring, just hanging around that T8 to T10 spot all week. So, and then when he got there this week, he didn't do what he should have. So I think that's a fair testament for now. Does Rahm win on Live first or win a major first?
I think he needs to win on Live first.
You think he needs to, or what do you think happens? You think Live happens?
I don't think he will win a major until he gets another Live win. So by that definition, I think he needs the Live win.
Okay, fair.
And I say this, and it's actually interesting you brought up Live, because as you know, and we'll talk about a guy, Jocko, who I've been a defender of on Live, and it's an interesting conversation of what we do with the Jocko situation after this week, and one maybe I'm not even happy about, because I was hoping if he was going to play bad, he would just miss the cut by 80 strokes, and I'd never have to think about him ever
so you'd
again.
be clear, yeah.
But that's not what happened. But we're Live guys. We support Live. We've liked the players on Live. We've said many positive things about Live. I do, and you've been against betting Live guys in the majors since last year, and we talk about it every time.
Since it started, yeah.
Yeah, and we talk about it each time the majors come up. I truly do believe there's a legitimate take to be made that under the gun against a Scottie or a Rory, they don't have as many reps on good golf courses against Scottie and Rory ultimately. And or you could take Xander last year. Can the Live guys easily finish top 10? And are they still great golfers? 1,000%. But it's that tiny little edge. I'm talking just down the stretch of a major. I really do think it has at least a tiny bit of an impact. And I didn't necessarily believe that all along. I've just been coming around to that more and more over the last few majors.
Waco last two PGA championships, like this weekend and Valhalla, 14 strokes gained on approach. Those are by far his two best major ball striking weeks. So you're going to go back to him next year at the PGA Championship? Is he just a PGA Championship merchant? Is that where he gets it? I think we're both in that camp where if he's going to get one, if he's going to mix hard, it's going to be at a PGA.
Yeah, I would say the PGA, and just because of the shot we saw him hit on the par 4 at Troon, I can't see that and not think that one day the Open, and he played good at Troon until the postage.
The postage stamp, yeah. Who could forget the postage stamp? A hard eject for Waco last year, but yeah, I mean, those are numbers. He's been striping it the last two PGA championships. Obviously, he got the yellow Wikipedia bubble, as a ton of guys did. I saw your tweet; they were just handing them out this week. So, shout out Waco, you got your major top 10.
But I'm not even talking about in the sense of Jocko. And yes, shout out to Jocko. And if you would have told me he was going to gain almost 8 strokes on approach and almost 4 strokes putting, I would have been probably spending the money, because his bread and butter is gaining off the tee. And he hit some amazing shots. He hit some terrible shots. I think the funny part is, over the last 54 holes, I think only Scottie beat him. Like literally only the last 54 holes. You can't write the jokes themselves. Jocko.
Yeah. He gained about 11 strokes to the field on Friday through Sunday after losing 1.5 on Thursday.
Yeah. So I'm not, for the record, I wrote this ahead of the week, and I stated it, and I meant it. If Jocko did nothing, it was blacklist. I was never doing it ever again. I am still in going forward. But
I
it's
also think you said
a tournament basis.
I thought you said if Waco doesn't, I think you actually said if Waco doesn't finish T8 or better, I'm done with him, because you said this is going to be the easiest T8 for him at a major, and he finished that. So great call there.
All right. Well, that's why you make a statement ahead of time so that you can look back once the moment's behind you and stick with what you said. So yeah, fine enough from Jocko. Never had any chance of winning, but a lot better than him missing the cut or finishing T50 because people, it's
Like
fine.
some other guys.
Yeah, some other guys did. But what I was originally saying was just that watching, because ultimately, in my opinion, the only 3 golfers going into, based on the things that happened over the weekend, who legitimately could have won were Scottie, Rahm, and Bryson. None of the other guys.
I agree. And I thought the same thing. And I was happy with where I made my decision ahead of time because I did not think any of the guys I bet had a chance to win the golf tournament. I was sweating what I was sweating with that market. And I would do it again. I do not think it was just, they were so far ahead. And even when Bryson was not playing well, even when Bryson was just like grinding out pars, I still thought there was a moment where he was just gonna erupt because he had a decent driving week, a little bit left misses that kind of hurt him. Wasn't really hitting the iron shots close, but I thought there was gonna be a time where he would get hot with the putter or just stuff a few wedges, and obviously it didn't happen quite enough. Did finish runner up though.
And yeah, I just think that, and that's why I say that like Rahm needs a live win to like. I want to see these guys, the Brysons and the Rahms. And I mean, Jocko's doing the winning part. He's just not getting into the mix in the majors yet. Like, I get it's 54 holes. I get the courses. It's just like it has to be having some impact. And I'm not like, I don't know to what degree, but it's just different. And I like, now Scottie's going to go to Memorial before the U.S. Open. And I'm not saying Scottie's going to win the U.S. Open. I think that's a conversation that we should have. But we're always honest about how we're feeling about different things. The LIV situation, from how it's impacting under the gun, I'm just more concerned than I originally was.
I 1,000% agree with you. I 1,000% agree with you. I mean, we have had a LIV winner each of the last 2 years. Got 2 more chances to have it this year. I'm gonna say no. You know my stance. I'm gonna say we're not gonna get one, but we got 2 chances for one. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Bryson's. Did you see the quotes from Bryson? He's got tricks up his sleeve for the U.S. Open.
No, I didn't see that.
Because obviously going into the week, Bryson most tipped. Bryson like hardest odds.
Dive in the history of golf.
In the history of golf, guaranteed winner, and somebody that I had been high on at Quail since we did the one and done pod at the beginning of the year. I picked Bryson, and going into the week, I was like, yeah, I couldn't get there from a betting perspective just because like it goes against everything I stand for to bet somebody going from like 14-1 down to 9-1 when everyone in the world is on it. If it hits, great. I just, as we've said before, those things never happen. It's the iron play again. And that was the concern, and that would be the concern. His stats at Quail look identical to his stats on LIV. Generational off the tee, fine around the greens, good putting, but just not enough with the approach play. Hits it in the water on 17. He cannot control the irons this year, and that's he could easily have the first 2 majors of the year with even marginally better iron play.
Yeah, losing like 4.5 at Augusta is quite a lot. But is he still talking about the ball? Because I did see some quotes about the ball that he's trying to dial it in and tinker, which I think that has to do. And also, I mean, he had a fine around the green performance, like around 2, but there was a few chips that really got away from him this week that he was looking at his caddy like, dude, what's up? Like I hit this at 6 o'clock. Why is it rolling out? Why is it not checking up? So he's tinkering, and I don't know what those quotes were, but clearly he's got some, you said, tricks up his sleeve?
Yeah, he came on with Amanda after the round and said, like, I know I'm so close, like I'm playing good, but I'm just a little like off. I have some tricks up my sleeve for the U.S. Open. Like, we'll have to see if it's like ready in time or something, or maybe not ready in time. But then there was something else he said like that. Basically, he's got tricks up his sleeve apparently for the U.S. Open. And it has to be a trick involving hitting his irons better, because if he does that, he'll probably win every tournament that he plays. Like if Bryson could hit his irons, he could beat Scottie consistently, but he can't, and that's why he's not. But he's going to do some science apparently.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see, because even at his win in Korea, it was only a 4 strokes gain on approach week, which take that for what you want to take it with, which is, I guess, on the lower side for a win more times than not, I would say. And that's like some of the peak Bryson approach. Like he doesn't have that pop. But tricks up his sleeve. Oakmont.
We'll be there. We'll see we'll try to get a look at what the tricks are, because I'm intrigued, because obviously of all the majors, I thought Quail was going to be the one for him this year. He's obviously won two US Opens. Oakmont, nuke it off the tee, is obviously going to be of value there. Davis Riley. Dog to talent.
Dog to talent is, there's not many people on earth that have higher dog to talent than Davis Riley, defending champ of the Charles Schwab Challenge, where he just absolutely trounced Scottie. So Davis Riley going runner-up win is a mortal lock this week. Wondering his chart situation this week, because he's got to be on it, right? I don't know. What do you think?
Do you think Scottie was like shaking in his boots knowing that Davis Riley was chasing him down at Quail?
Now that I think about it, I think this might be the only reason he's playing Colonial, because he knows the dog to talent, and he's like, I am not losing to Davis Riley again.
He's got to nip it in the bud. He knows Davis Riley is like blossoming, and he's got to like put him in his place, because
they should offer full tournament matchup on them, -110. Give it to us.
The tough thing about Davis Riley is, yes, the dog to talent ratio. And I moved him up. Gio called for moving him up in the dog rankings.
Well deserved.
Well deserved. He's up to 35. I think he was around 42 in the dog rankings coming into the week. But he also hit one of the worst wedge shots. Not Rory on 13 at Augusta bad, but do you want to hear what Davis Riley did on 7?
Tell me.
So Scottie's going down. It's not looking good for Scottie all of a sudden. Davis Riley makes he chips in on 5.
Saw him chipping in.
And that
that was funny.
Bumped him up to solo second, maybe like 2 or 3 shots behind Scottie. He gets to 7. He's got like a 100-yard wedge shot, and there's a backstop behind the pin, but the pin's on the front right shelf above the water there. Chunked it into the water.
That's low dog. But I mean, you have to have your moments. That is a really tough scene. I was just looking. Keep going.
And then he 3-putted from like 10 feet. And so he ejected hard. He went down from there to like way out of it, but then he battled all the way back to T2. So.
Yeah, I mean, 6 being T2, cashing all those without markets is, I was thinking 8 would have done it. And when Tony got to 6 through 9, I'm like, all right, just play some holes par, and then birdie the 2 holes in the back, get to 8. But 6.
Of course, I think the thing was, if you were just like tracking and thinking of this like a normal tournament, the course was too hard.
Thankfully I was there. I knew that what it was, but I still thought 8 would have had a chance, but I guess not.
I just think on Sunday specifically, even on Saturday too, the back 9 got so crispy and difficult that it was like even the 14 and 15 birdie opportunities were, except for Saturday when Scottie stuffed it.
Every hole.
That was a hell of a moment too. As Bryson hit it into the water on 17, he was putting for bogey on 17, and a huge roar goes up as Scottie stuffed it to like 2 feet. And so he had to step off. You rarely get those moments in golf, but those are the moments.
Those are the moments you don't get while you're tracking, for sure. You definitely don't get those moments while you're tracking. Also, Davis Riley, first time he's gained strokes in every single category since 2022 Wyndham. So clearly Scottie is here for one reason and one reason only, to beat the mighty Davis Riley, defending champion.
He beat him in the U.S. Junior Am. Imagine if he didn't do that. Imagine if Davis Riley had won that U.S. Junior Am.
Who knows what Scottie would be right now? Truly, who knows?
Harris backdoor to T2. Shout out Harris, but more importantly, shout out Posty.
Shout out Posty. Did you see my report from him ahead of the week? It was a funny one.
You said he was talking to a fan about wishing he hit it further.
Yeah, he was like, dude, I'm hitting it well. I just wish I had more distance. Clearly, seemed pretty confident, and it worked out for Posty this week. Great to see him. Great to see him and BG, your guy, our guy, playing great in a major. Bermuda guys.
Yeah, on Posty specifically, he was right. He ranked 65th of guys who made the cut in distance, only gained 0.4 strokes off the tee. If he had more distance,
he knows. It's not rocket science. Like, I love when a guy knows their own game, and Posty clearly does.
But yeah, shout out BG. Unbelievable. I saw there were some people in the Discord who had 14-1 top tens that BG snuck into. What a moment. Since BG has come on the pod, he has won his first tour event. He had never even made a cut, Jers, in a major, and now he's got a yellow Wikipedia box. At one point, he made Eagle on Friday. He was charging up there. He's legit. He is good. Hopefully, we get another Bermuda major at some point. But the flow chart, the home game, the pod bump, all was there this week for BG, and it was beautiful to watch. I'm really happy for him.
And the speed he's gained off the tee, and I wrote on Monday or Tuesday whenever I was there, like, and honestly, like every time I see BG, I'm like, dude, this guy's moving it off the tee. And then you're tracking over the week, you're like, dude, BG's 325 in the fairway every single damn hole, and it's like a fact. He's striping it off the tee, and then he posts on Instagram, he's flirting with like 192 ball speed, messing around on the range. So he knows what he's doing, and it's paying dividends right now.
His elite long irons paid off again. Like the number of
High
times.
hands.
The high hands on like 13 and some of the other tough par threes when he hit it to like 15 feet and everybody else was like 55 feet or further away or in the bunker or whatever like that. He's good. The shame is we're not going to get too many Bermuda majors going forward, but beautiful to see. And also Ryan Gerard. What a moment that they would both be T8 after we asked BG about Ryan Gerard on the pod. Both of them finished top 10. Unbelievable stuff for the Tar Heels.
They had to have been flowing after Sunday night. Beers all day. Good for them. I am definitely happy for them. And we saw someone cash a nice DFS lineup with Ryan Gerard in it. So shout out you in the Discord for NBG. They know the Bermuda boys, the Tar Heels. Good vibes.
Cashing I think it was a 10K DFS winner, thanks to BG and Ryan Gerard is sick. Two what better guys to have in your lineup?
What dreams are made of
than the Tar Heels on home turf. Gerard was flying out of the gates.
Oh my God. Yeah. And he got the 7. He got the 7. Then someone posted that Gerard first round leader ticket. I was like, fuck. Immediate eject. What he finished at 5. Then Johnny Vegas went nuclear to steal that. But that was like, don't post it yet. Just wait.
But the reason we're high on Gerard and the reason I said to BG that the stats have been pointing, it's because he's been flashing with all the categories. He gained 4.4 off the tee and 5.6 on approach. He was
long course specialist.
He was second. Yeah, he was second in the whole field ball striking.
That is good. Flush beyond belief.
He's good. Those are the type of stats that you want to mark down because this is a guy who is good at golf and is going to keep showing up in these events. I don't think it was just home. I hate to say it because we love BG so much, but I think the home game in the Bermuda helped BG more than it helped Gerard. Gerard's just a
for sure. And I think Gerard is a long course specialist, also a grade A fast player, plays so fast. So the friends of the program, shout out Gerard, shout out BG. T10s at Quail Hollow, smoked Roar, smoked Collin. They got to be feeling good.
This, though, is the most important moment.
Ben Griffin smoking Rory at Quail Hollow. Think about that.
What a moment for BG, honestly. But this is the moment of the pod. Maybe the moment in the history of the pod. Who do you think was third in the entire tournament, tee to green? Don't look.
I'm not looking. Can I look at the leaderboard or no?
No. Who do you think was third in the entire field, tee to green? You'd probably get like 50 guesses. The only way you could think about it is if you thought about the pod. There's no other explanation.
No, Kevin, you.
Marco Penge was third in the field, tee to green. He finished T28. He gained over 10 strokes tee to green. He lost 4 strokes putting. If he putted, he would have been right there. Marco Penge showed up. I think he was, what was he in distance? Second in the field behind Bryson in distance. Generational off the tee player. Bomber. Random Euro of the week from the second that he won in Hanan. T28 for Marco Penge. Let's go.
Dude, and I saw him catching some strays on Twitter from some people like X is currently only beating like it was a bunch of random names and included Marco, and I was like, dude, do not include this guy on this list. This guy is a legitimate golfer who might win a few majors because with the driving that he possesses. Is he in U.S. Opens going forward?
He should be. I don't know if he is. He's probably got to qualify, but he is legitimately a tee to green
Machine.
match. He was third in the entire tournament. Scottie Scheffler, Harris English, and Marco Penge. Those are your top 3 tee to green.
That's insane. And I saw shout out Sky. Sky bet him this week, so he knows ball. Marco probably could have won this week. In a world, he wins this week.
He won. I would say it was the best random golfer performance in a major since Minkyu Kim for the first 3 rounds at Troon.
Who could forget? You literally picked Marco random year of the week a month ago.
And I specifically said after that, don't let me forget this because I'm going to try to change my mind the week of, but I need to stick with it.
Yeah.
This is why we need the like tee to green markets, because Marco top 5 in the tee to green market would have been that
would have been like 20 to 1.
That would have been how we should have done it. But shout out to Marco, honestly, huge for him. He got on the coverage. Like I saw him out there because I was watching some of the streams. You know, when you're tracking the last couple rounds, you're watching the streams 14 through 16. He was out there striping. Shout out Marco. Any other golfers? Oh, did you? Norin, what's up? See, apparently Denny and Joe Highsmith finished top 10.
Shout out Joe Buckets. Just classic 73, 67, 69, 71. That strokes gain La Cava, doing your thing. That's good for Buckets. Bermuda man. He is a Bermuda man. Keegan T8. The drop off from T8 to T17 is quite something. Sam Burns, another T20 in a Bermuda major. That's his thing. And I had said some things about Sam Burns going into the week, so I'm happy that he played well. Aaron Rye eject over the weekend, but no one else I really want to note.
I have
Taylor Moore T20 Red State.
If I was Johnny Vegas, because we haven't talked about Johnny yet, I would just make the 3-foot putts. If I was Johnny, I would just make the putts from like 3 feet. It's so painful to watch. It's so painful. Shout out Johnny for a great performance. He'd never, ever played good in a major at all. But his short putting, I don't know what he was doing. He
was 4th in putting in round 1 and then like outside the T40 the last 3 days. Tough scene from Vegas.
It was so tough to watch. It was really tough to watch on, were you watching on Friday? He had like a 4-shot lead. He bounced off that rake onto the green and then he went to 18 and he double bogeyed with like another short missed putt. That was tough.
Yeah, because he was at 10 at that point, I believe. And then he finished at 8. And I was like, what the hell happened here? And also, should we talk about Smalley before we move on?
Friday, Smalley is the best golfer of all time.
Without a doubt.
And I stand by it. You watching Smalley play golf on Friday, you literally couldn't picture something more perfect.
Just stripes beyond imagination.
He's
good stuff.
He's so fun. Some of these guys, just the consistency of which they do what they do, they have to know it. You know,
no, they do.
It's. I wanted to touch on a couple guys who aren't up here in the top 20. Guys, maybe that we bet. Guys, maybe that we were high on for the week. Overall, how'd you feel about what you saw out there? The Boots report, the week. I know you went to the Without Scottie market. We'll talk about the Without Scottie market going forward. But what was your overall thoughts on Quail? You were high on it, more high than you thought you were going to be. Overall, just Quail, PGA, Boots.
I honestly want to pat you and just the slight on the back. I thought it was an excellent course report in terms of what we thought, how we thought the course was going to play out. Because even Thursday afternoon, the greens were firm. Combine that with the soft fairways, really emphasized everything that we were looking for. And we got some guys in the mix. We did what we had to do. We cast some DFS lineups, top 10. So I thought it was a decent week. And I thought Quail was awesome. I mean, this was a fun finish, a 11 under major. I can live with that. Fun golf course. And if they can trick Quail out if they really wanted to, and they let it go a little easier on Sunday, I believe. So if they really wanted it to, they could have got it to maybe -8 winner.
Yeah, and in the context of the guys that I bet last week was something that I was going to bring up. Ludwig.
SGC.
Anytime, and we talked about this last week on the pod, all the numbers were saying one of the top 4 players was going to win. Scottie, Rory, Bryson, or JT. It turned out Rahm was the replaced JT there of the guys who got into the mix, but it ended up being Scottie who wins. I was not overthinking it, I would say, but I was trying to find some way to make a card where I was like, if these guys at least play their best, they could theoretically beat Scottie, from a little bit further down the board. And to me, that's what Ludwig, he's gotten into the mix of majors. He's played good in big events. He hits it high. And he got off to a great start. He was 3 under through 9. I think he was second in the odds after the
Same
front
thing
9.
at the Truist.
Yeah. But I was watching because he was on the featured groups. And I've come on here and I've said I do not believe that Joe Skovron is a good caddy. I've taken my stance. People have come at me when Ludwig won at Torrey. You were on him. I don't think he's a good caddy. I don't think he's a serious caddy. I compare him to the other caddies. I just don't think he's as good. Watching them go around the course is a travesty. They're missing yardages by 30 yards.
With wedges.
What is going on?
I do not know. And I do think it's a combination because even on some of the par threes, he hits some horrible approach shots, like horrible iron shots. I mean, when you're not hitting good shots on approach and you can't get the yardage right, you're not making a cut. So, but I will say you were right about that caddy thing because I saw him airmailing greens from 120 and he's like looking back at Joe. What the hell, man?
And my problem,
like the pros don't do that. No matter how good or bad your form is, a pro's not going to do that.
My problem too is that Joe's got his hat like tilted up on his head. Is not he just like
smiling.
It's Lud, and I think the reason he really relies on his caddy. Like he walks up there, he's the golfing machine. He's like ChatGPT, and Joe Skovron is bad at prompting the ChatGPT. In my opinion, he is not what Lud needs because he's too casual. Like, what are we doing? How are we missing greens by this much? He is a robot golfer. Just give him the right numbers. Tell him how to play the wind. I think he needs shout out to Riss for an unbelievable take. JP Fitzgerald, Rory's OG caddy. Get him on the bag for Lud.
Just hit this number, Ludwig. Hit this number. Okay. No, that's a good take. I wonder what JP's up to nowadays.
I don't know because Lud is playing. And now in the second round, Lud was dropping it off the planet. That's not Skovron's fault. I'm not going to hold that against him. But the first round, when all the momentum was on Lud's side, and at the end of the day, Lud's a good enough player that if you've got momentum, he can ride it. So I felt good coming out of the gates. I was just truly flabbergasted by what I was watching. Like, I wouldn't be saying this. We don't come on here and a guy plays bad and then we just like
blame something. Yeah. No, you're right.
But in this specific case, I've said that I don't like Skovron caddying for Lud before. I'm not just making this up in this moment. I've said this many times on the pod. I don't get it. I don't understand what's happening.
I was shocked when I saw because I was watching all day Thursday and Friday. Like I said, airmailing greens or even way short too. I don't know how that's possible because I've been higher on Skovron than you, clearly in the wrong there, and like I don't know how you can get them that wrong. You're a professional caddy. Because Ludwig's looking at him and baffled. You noted it a few times this week too.
Yeah, I mean, it takes two to tango. I'm not, and who am I to judge? But at the end of the day, in other sports, you talk about the coaches, the other players. Not all caddies are good. Some caddies are great, and we talk about the great caddies. Strokes gained Griner. Another guy who wasn't even close to winning, Collin, JT. I said I'm out on both of them until this caddy situation. Another strokes gained caddy situation. Why did JT let Griner walk and now go to Collin? Beyond belief.
Rev is not a good caddy. I don't think. I think he's nervous of Justin Thomas. I think he doesn't want to speak his mind with Justin Thomas and tell him to like do what he thinks he should do. Because like if he gets something wrong, he like is very standoffish and gets back into his shell and just kind of walks away. And Griner is not like that, obviously. They won together. But I do want to question Griner and Collin's decisions on 18 on Thursday and Friday. What the hell was that?
I know exactly what it was. I was trying to find a good way to do a tweet, but I couldn't figure it out. They were doing the commercial. It Sawgrass when he bounces it off the truck and it goes in for the Comcast Business Top 10. That was exactly what it was. As soon as they panned to Collin in the pine straw, I instantly saw that. And then that's what he was trying to do. He misshit it, and Griner isn't in the commercial. JJ's in the commercial. So it's not going to work.
Right. Remember when I got the picture of them at the commercial at Sawgrass?
That's exactly what I was trying to find because it was so funny.
There's no way Griner could have approved that No chance. Like, because apparently, Collin said, or someone said on Thursday, there's no way this is true, though. They was trying to punch it across the lake and get it onto the left rough close to the green. I think he was trying to hit a hard slice out of the
Yeah,
rough.
for sure. It was a crazy choice.
And he was just straight into the water. And then the next day, you drive it in the water. That's one thing. Why did he lay up to 100 yards? You drop it. You're not routine. You're dropping in the lake. You're laying up to 100 yards, and then you make a 6. What are you doing?
That's what Lud did on Lud was like +3 on the par 5s. He also hit it in the rough, and instead of trying to advance it down there, he laid back to like 180 and then short-sided himself to the pin.
Nikolai did that once, laid up to like 211, put it to 10 feet, made birdie.
There was a lot of players just vintage performances this week, which is why the majors are great, because there's so many takes that you can fire off after them, and that's why we're 45 minutes into the Colonial pod and we haven't even got there yet. But we haven't even talked best French golfer of all time. Pabs took that personally.
Oh yeah, long and straight. Like you get Pabs in a long and straight week on a long and straight golf course, he is going to play well. Where did he finish?
I don't know, down the board.
T41, but a good start from Pabs and a 65 on Friday. Shout out Pabs.
It was just funny seeing him up there again on Saturday of a major.
On a Sunday, on a Bermuda, North Carolina major.
Xander was never a sweat for you from him winning. He did stripe it off the tee, which was surprising. Did you see his driving set?
No, I didn't, but I weird. But I also did see him in a ton of bunkers. Maybe I missed him I got him at the wrong time when I was watching. But yeah, Xander, and he had a nice round on Sunday to make a T28 look not as bad as what he kind of was all week. So again, I don't think Xander is there yet. But what are your takes?
Rory, any Rory takes from he skipped the media? People are upset about that.
I mean, you can't be Rory McIlroy and finish. Where did he finish? T47 at Quail Hollow. You just can't. Too much partying after Masters is my take. That's my take.
And I overthought
Fair,
it.
Though.
Because you went to Scottie in
DFS
right at the top. Mm-hmm. I came on the pod and said I've never been a Rory guy. I'm not good at reading Rory. I said on the pod that I thought you could come up with reasons why he just wasn't going to be as sharp. He didn't care as much. Like, no matter how much he could care, I didn't get the sense that he had the I'm going to win the Grand Slam this year energy.
No.
I think he was like,
truly.
I just don't think he cared that much. But I talked myself into it by the end of the week, because you said he was striping at boots. It's Quail. He's so confident. How could he play bad, basically? And he really did play bad. And if you wanted to make up an excuse for him, it would be the driver testing, apparently. But then Scottie driver tested and won the tournament, so you can't really use that as an excuse. Definitely disappointing. But there's nothing Rory could do for the next 3 years that I'm going to give a bad Rory take. He accomplished what he was trying to accomplish.
Fun fact, Boot Story didn't tell you this yet. TSA out of Charlotte Airport, I'm standing behind 2 top tracer guys who work with Callaway and TaylorMade, and they were talking about Rory having to change his driver and having to think that is going to be big for him this week. Hindsight, should have probably said something, but I didn't really know if that was something I should or shouldn't say. They're like, yeah, Rory has to change his driver. It's non-conforming this week. I didn't ask any questions, but I just asked them who they worked for, and it happened to be that, and they were proper blokes, so they were good men. But yeah, I just thought that was funny going into the week.
Wow, you had a capital J journalism scoop, and you just didn't even know. You didn't, because if you had connected the dots that was going to cause him to drive bad, that would have been very, very interesting information.
Yeah, that was his worst driving week since the Alfred Dunn. Who could forget back in October? Yeah, I probably should have.
Another Brooks is unserious.
He's quitting golf.
I'm glad that I faded Brooks. I'm glad I didn't bet him. I almost at the last second I was just going to bet Brooks, because I was like, fuck it.
Didn't you text me Brooks on the sea?
I was on the indecision moment, and then by the time I clicked the buttons, I pulled the triggers, I couldn't do it. And I was like, and it was only, and I wrote this up on the side. I said, I'm fading him in DFS because if he makes even 2 bogeys in a row, he's not going to try. He's going to give up.
No.
But from an outright perspective, I was like, maybe 1 in a million chance. But even I, a Brooks believer going to this week, it's tough.
Where do you stand on Brooks greater than 20-1 going forward on LIV? Is that still.
I'm sticking by that for sure, because one of these weeks Brooks is going to be just super pissed on Liv, and his problem is he just now gives up so easily when it's not going his way. Like he knows dog so much. He knows what it takes to win. And there's weeks where he now just knows he doesn't have it after like a few holes, and he's not even trying. One of these weeks on Liv, he's just going to get hot out of the gates and then.
Because he hasn't done that yet. I think that's fair. I might be in with you. Also, I assume we're going to Sudal as the next topic, not the
Tommy Peets in the field.
In the field.
It's a general. I couldn't ask. We said this a couple pods ago, and Marty won in
3 in a row for you going for
Turkey. The chance to go for 3 in a row on the DP at Sudal is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And when I saw the odds board, I haven't dug in deep. I've crunched the numbers, got the model going. I'm trust my process. I don't do DP until late Tuesday nights. That's when I get into the DP zone. I did take a quick glance at the odds board. I wanted to see which big names were going to be there. The fact that the odds board starts at 22-1, Tommy Peets is in the field. I like how it's setting up. Basically, so far, early signs, I like what I'm seeing from the odds board in Sudal.
I will say, as you know, running the model, running the numbers for Sudal, you simply sort by driving accuracy. You go from there, and then you have your winner. So I'm excited for it. It's definitely the best event of the week. Sad Tommy Peets isn't playing because I assume he's playing in Texas this week. But Sudal, great week. If you don't know about Sudal, definitely watch it. Watch it.
Mateo Mans is back playing Sudal. Some of the
great course for him.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, he must have just been like, the tour's not working out for me. I'm going to go back to Europe and strip.
Which no one does. Like, no one does that. Because, I mean, it makes sense why they wouldn't do that because they're chasing a paycheck. But again, this is something that we would do. Like, we would tell these guys. Like, we told when Will Dennis was like, yeah, I need to score a golf course that's you got to hit the driver really straight. Dude, go play Sudal. You will win this week by 10. If Sam Stevens was in the field, he'd win by 10. Played okay this week.
He would. Yeah, it would be unbelievable to watch. Speaking of driving, Max finished T60.
In driving or in
the tournament? Max Homa, who was back on Friday, finished T60. That was tough, I will say. But it was so great when he got it. What's the state of the union here? Is he playing this week? This is where it all started to go wrong last year. Famously, it was Charles Schwab when he lost infinity strokes off the tee that it all started to go wrong. But what was your take on what happened at Quail?
No, he's not playing this week. I thought the app was broken on Saturday when I couldn't find his name. I was like, wait, where? Oh, 76. There he is. 77 on Sunday. There he is. I think it's positives. I really do. I think it's positives. Like, you don't just go around and do that, stripe it off the tee. What did he finish in strokes getting off the tee? Because he was striping it going into the weekend.
Not very high.
Not very high.
Yeah, not anything crazy good.
I mean, he was never winning this golf tournament. But
no, 23rd.
I think it's positives. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that we got a ways to go still. Still. But at 200-1, if he's 200-1 going forward, he's at least capable. And the reason I was like kind of starting to be in on him after we saw him on the range, we're not range reporters, but as we said about Max specifically, seeing him swing with so much power, basically, and speed, it was like, okay, this has got to work out at some point. And the comfort level he has at Quail, it made sense over the first 2 rounds, but he went too close to the sun, too fast.
Speaking of off the tee, Nick Dunn only lost 4 strokes off the tee. Was in 2 rounds. The last time he played 4 rounds of golf, lost 8.5 at Truist, lost 8.5 at Harbor Town. So he probably was on pace for that 8.5 margin this week. Tough camp. I just glanced down on my phone, and my buddy Dom sent me an Instagram story from Erica Baker, his ex-girlfriend. Who knows what this could be? So it could be a moment of truth coming forward. For Nick Dunn, I will definitely monitor that situation.
Final 2 guys that we were absolutely wrong about at the PGA Championship, you and Minwoo. It wasn't a links course, and you strongly went to Minwoo, and you said Minwoo was going to play well. What do you have to say for that?
I believe he drove it really well. No?
Okay. He was in it far for sure. He putted really bad.
Yeah, he drove it well in round one, and then I saw his stats on round one where he just lost all of what he gained off the tee on approach, which is, I mean, that's what I signed up for. I signed up for the driver putter. I figured he'd be around 0 to negative on approach, but you can't lose 3 strokes putting if you're going for that build. So Minwoo fought to make the cut. He birded a few tough holes in a row, and then he messed up late. So I don't hate that I went to Minwoo. I just wish he wouldn't have put so poorly.
Fair. There's nothing you can do.
66 to 1, and then with that market, I think there was worse bets to make.
I said at the beginning of the week, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, can't be fooled again on Patrick Cantlay. By the time Wednesday came around, actually Tuesday night came around, I said I'm going to have Patrick Cantlay on the card at 45 to 1. That's money that I would have been better off doing legitimately anything with than betting it on Patrick Cantlay. I woke up, I think he teed off about 8 a.m.
3 over
on Thursday, and he was already 1 over through 1. I was thinking about turning it on, watching it. Did not turn it on. Knew it was over after the first hole. I should have done the math in my head of firm golf course, hard, not good for Patrick Cantlay, but I was fooled by Pinehurst. What happened at Pine? Why did he play so good? That's what threw me off ultimately.
I mean, it was the unserious definition is high. But the thing with Pinehurst was there was no approach stat. The approach stats were not real. So you could have hit it anywhere, and he happened to putt well that week. So yeah, Pat Cantlay, extremely unserious.
I to finish want to say that I believe Quail, if it only hosted the PGA Championship maybe once every 8 years, but it wasn't allowed to have a PGA Tour event anymore, and the Truist became like a Northeast event that kind of rotates through the Northeast.
Hell yeah.
That I'd be in for that. I'm fine with Quail. I didn't realize I was fine with Quail until this week. Good test.
Dude,
Good,
Quail blew me away. It really did. Everything about it was tremendous when I was there, and I've never been out on Quail, but I am so in now. And like honestly, think about the last 2 Truist, Wells Fargo, whatever, like sub events, like TPC Potomac and Truist. Like they were both pretty damn sick. I mean, sorry, and Philly Crick, pretty damn sick. So I'm in on that. If we could get that little rotation, Northeast rotation.
All right, Colonial. The site goes on. The pod goes on. The PGA is behind us. The next major won't be for a few weeks when we'll be there in Pittsburgh at Oakmont. We got Colonial this week up on the site. Jers $9.99 for the weekly, $34.99 for the monthly. Shout out, as always, all the subscribers, everybody who supported the content last week, whether it was on the site or in the Discord, or just liking and subscribing or giving a 5-star review on YouTube or your favorite podcast network. We can't do this without you. We appreciate you so much. Truly, it was awesome once again to see all that support. But the show goes on, Jers. Colonial's here. We don't stop just because the majors are behind us. How are we feeling? Scottie's playing again because I don't really know why, just because to beat Davis Riley and just win all the Texas events and just strokes gained dog and just be like, I can fucking win every time, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? What are you thinking? What are you looking for in players? Just give me the Colonial elevator pitch.
I will say, I'll start with, I know you're going to go with the without Scottie market this week for the first time ever. I think that's on the table. Is that in the thoughts?
I want to talk about that, actually.
Yeah. Is that in the thoughts for you?
It is, but I want to talk about it. I want to have the conversation. I want to, the listeners can listen in, and I'm not sure there's a right answer here, basically. I haven't bet the without Scottie market ever.
No, maybe ever.
I don't think ever. Maybe once,
no.
But I'm pretty sure I haven't. And the hard part for me is the whole way I think about the card and like constructing the card and doing it is based on winning the tournament. And when you get into start A, the odds may not be reflective of like the difference when they pull Scottie without the market is one thing. But let's say they finish T2. Let's say they were T2 this week in a 3-way split. So now that throws off the math again of the card and like the way that I'm thinking about it. In some ways, and I'm not saying this is right, but it's at least how I think about it. When trying to pick outrights, I factor in winning the tournament down the stretch. Can they win the event? And so, like, I want to bet the without Scottie market because I think, yeah, Scottie's probably very, very likely to win. But it's even hard for me to wrap my head around how to bet it. And in some ways, like, honestly, if not betting the event, I like feels like a better thing to do for me than trying to figure out or just betting Scottie. Like
Yeah.
it's but I know you're in favor of it. And I'm just talking out loud here because I'm want to be, but it just it doesn't feel right.
Well, I mean, I've never done it until this year. I've done it 3 times this year. But I mean, the good thing about it is you can bet guys that can't win. You can bet Alex Smalley. You can bet Tony Finau. You can bet Patrick Cantlay. Those guys can finish runner up. And I mean, yeah, guys finish 2-2 a lot. Which I mean, say you win a without Scottie market 10x card, you're getting 5 points that week. You're still gaining points to the system, and you're gaining profit. If you have to split, when I'm strongly convinced that Scottie's going to win the golf tournament, I don't want to deal with him. And yeah, I hand up soft, confirmed. I know I'm a soft human being. I have very little dog. But sometimes, desperate times, desperate measures, you have to make decisions. And without Scottie market I've been okay with it this year. I mean, three times Ludwig win. I know Scottie wasn't in the conversation, and then 2 other Scottie wins. So I think I'm going to keep going with it for now.
So you're saying that you feel justified in it because he's won the tournaments that you bet the without Scottie market, even though you didn't end up having the winner.
Right. Like because on Saturday afternoon, I know like, oh, everyone's dead. I have no chance to win now. But I have Tony at -5. Like he's like, I think solo second, solo third, or around there on the back 9. Like I still have a chance to win.
But would you not have been better off betting Scottie those weeks? Because then you would have won both.
Clearly.
So and that's what I'm saying. On a week where you're that confident Scottie's going to win, do you think betting the without is still your best way of winning? Because just based on what you're saying.
That is a great question. That is something that I need to look myself in the mirror with, and that has to turn into, okay, I need to bet higher ROI cards in other weeks, and I've been starting to do that. Like I could have fit 5.5 to 1, 5 to 1 Scottie this week for the season long if it's a 7x structure every single week or around that, which is kind of the baseline I'm looking for. I could have done that. 2.5 to 1. That's a different story. I don't know if I can do that. That means like I have to be so confident that he's going to win. Because what's winning 2.5 points on our game? That's only doing so much. It's profit, but I still think without is my play for now, because there's nothing quite like cashing an 80 to 1 guy.
I agree. I just also think like Cantlay, for example, he actually hasn't even finished in second in his last 25 starts. Like finishing second is still
right.
It's like it's hard for me to say that I'd be more willing to bet a loser to finish second. Like I get the logic behind it, obviously. Like he doesn't have to win. But
wow.
Yeah. That's nice.
Look at guys.
Wow.
Keep going.
Every time my girlfriend will comment on that, because every time she watches golf and the guys take their hat off, she says, "Oh, look at their suntan or like their tan lines." Every time. And I'm like, yeah, every time.
Send her this clip.
The real thing. She'll see it. But yeah, and the tough part is the reason I'm feeling not down about it, but not great. I'd rather have it be a normal week, because that's what I felt. I'm back in SF now, Jers. Before I came back to SF last time, Scottie had no wins on the season. We were wondering if Scottie's career might be over.
Yeah.
Now he's finished at this tournament the last 3 years, second, third, second, and he's gained generationally tee to green.
You know what sucks for him? Davis Riley was in the field last year.
Yeah, that was the only thing that stopped him. He's putting better than he ever has. Why
I'm
would he
going in
not
there
win
without.
easily?
I mean, yeah, I'm going in there without Scotty market. I honestly think you can bet 2.5 to 1 Scotty this week as well and still be on great pace because you've been rolling with the 10, 11, 9 to 11 ROI cards all season long. I'm catching up to you in that regard, which is I've never done before. But I do think I'm just gonna go in there without market again.
Yeah.
'Cause you
That's
can,
why major weeks are always tough for me, I
yeah.
feel like,
But
because it's tough. Like, but I just want to bet a normal card the way that I've always done it, the way that I like that works with
yeah,
how I think about betting it. And it's just frustrating that this week we've got Scotty playing again against guys he should easily beat. And then we go to Muirfield Village, which no one can beat Scotty at Muirfield Village.
yeah.
So it's just unfortunate that Scotty's great again.
Well, I'm gonna say like I was thinking about betting Cantley last week too. Then I looked at the without price. It was like 22 something. Like I was like, I'm not doing that. But because I really think a random guy like Harris English, JT Poston, anyone at triple fit 5 times the odd can finish runner up just as easily as Patrick Cantley. Now I will say Patrick Cantley could probably win the golf tournament more times than those guys, but I like the without market for random guys to finish runner up because it happens every single week who have no chance to win. But yeah, they could backdoor a shoot 6 under in round 4 and post. Like I thought I had Mav in there without market too at like 90 to 1. On Saturday, he goes out like 5 under through 6 or 7 holes. I'm like, all right, Mav, we're in the mix. We can get into T4 heading into Sunday. Like we're right there. And then we got Tone too. So like I'm happy I gave myself a sweat. Like because there was no sweat in any other markets really, unless you had like Rahm for a little bit of time, but Scotty was winning the whole time.
Yeah, I think if you had Bryson, you had what I would call a
Yeah.
legitimate sweat. Like I don't think the Bryson betters should feel bad.
No.
Like he did what you would have hoped, and the hope was that the irons worked, and they didn't. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'll probably bet the without. That's where I'd be leaning. If
Also,
Vincent,
you
if I had
you should
told
yeah.
if I had
I'm gonna
told
say you should
Vincent
see what
about
he
the
is in the
uh,
Scotty percentage wins because you said Vincent had Scotty percentage like 65 at whatever event it was. You're like, dude,
it
chill
actually
out.
wasn't. And then last week I said that he had the top 4: the Scotty, Bryson, JT, and Rory, like 70% plus likelihood to win or something, or high 60s.
Yeah,
This week, actually, when I initially ran it, wasn't as high on Scotty for what it's worth.
really.
For what it's worth. Now, what I was going to say was I should have told Vincent, and I'm going to tell Vincent, I'm giving him the option of the without market, let him decide for himself what he wants to do, because he had EVR at Byron, and that would have been like 60 to 1, probably 50 to 1 in the
Yeah,
without market. So I think
yeah.
it's time I commit myself to the without market. I just wanted to share my thoughts, get your feedback as without. I would say you're at the forefront of the without movement. I would say,
Without
like
movement, yeah.
people still call you out, they question it, but it is what it is. Scotty, what are we supposed to do?
I die on hills, and you know that about me. I stand on my takes, and whether they're right, whether they're wrong, I will definitely keep that going. And I'm not gonna bet in there without market all season long. But this year I've taken that step. But also to wrap up Quail, I just thought of a new flow chart that I have. It's a personal flow chart actually. Um, I'm at a major. I see a new era stand. I buy a fitted hat. So I just wanted to touch on this awesome Quail Hollow hat. That's not really a nice hat, but I have an elite bend on it. Like this is a top tier.
That is a nice bend.
Yeah. So shout out Quail. This is my second, I think, new era hat that I've gotten from a major. But because you definitely don't want to see me around a new era stand. It's going to be tough for my wallet.
What was your thoughts on Garrick Higo's debut in the Malbon? He was hard mix on Friday, and then he fell out of it. But what were your thoughts about that?
My thoughts initially were we need a DraftKings low Malbon market every single week. I mean, obviously one guy's going to be significantly favored, but I think it'll be
That
a
is
fun market.
Why would Malbon not collab with DraftKings on that? That actually is a great idea. That's a
Great
moneymaker.
idea. Yeah, maybe we can get into that. But yeah, I thought Garrick, the hair really does it. Like, because as a person, I don't know how J Day rocks it so much better, but the hair and like the reverse swoosh Nikes, like he looks all right. I'm not saying he looks bad, but J Day is definitely in a league of his own. He's definitely they walked together, they took pictures together. Jason Day was definitely giving him some tips.
It was with the pictures, honestly, that made me have this take, because I'm a Higo guy. Obviously, he started his career on the DP. We're always going to
Yeah.
support that. I hit him at
Mortis?
Hungary. What?
You hit him at did he win Mortis Open? Mortis
Oh, Mauritius. He also went
Mauritius.
at Congaree, though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But I follow him on Instagram. I don't follow that many golfers on Instagram, but I've followed Higo. He's always grinding with your boy Sean Foley, right? Is it Foley that he? No, it's
No, I don't think he's with Foley. He is another coach who's actually a Malbon guy. I'm not sure who it is, to be honest.
but it's like a named. He's got a big name coach, or he did for at least a long time. I didn't like the Malbon. I think next to Day, it stood out too goofy looking, and I'll support it. I'll be on board. I'm a Malbon guy. I'm on the side, but I was surprised that he was the next. He's not Carl. He's
No.
not.
There's one coming next year, though, which I've told you about.
That'll be
But I think we need to see Garrett Higo in like the performance line Malbon stuff. I think he'll look much better in that than he does in like the little bit baggier, like a cashmere type stuff. We need him in the performance line stuff. I think he'll really look good in that, especially with the flow.
That is totally fair. I support that take, because there was, I can't remember what day it was, one of the days of the tournament. I was like, oh, all right, that's better. It was just next to Day, and yeah, the baggy like suit. You just really, I would look terrible in that. Most people would look terrible in that. You got to have a special look. You rocked it. You rocked it at Prestwick.
Yeah, I'm all the way in. I wear Malbon as much as anyone not named Jason Day, and now Garrett Higo. So I sometimes pull it off with the baggy stuff. So yeah, Team Malbon forever.
No free ads, but free ads there for Malbon and DraftKings.
Free ads for Malbon.
And now FanDuel, because I've got the without market odds up. And let's just talk about without market. I'll probably bet the without jurors. I'll probably be with you. With that being said, if I was going to, would you consider any of these guys capable of beating Scottie? Spieth, Berger, Hideki, Tommy, Mav McNeely, can they legitimately have a chance of winning?
No.
No. None of those guys have a chance of winning.
What do you think?
The only guy I would consider in the normal market is
Hideki.
But Hideki.
I saw scary things from Hideki last week. Did he make the cut?
No, he ended his long major cut streak. And then after, did you see what he was doing on Friday? It was hilarious.
Oh my, so funny.
He was
so now we're 2 for 2 on Hideki reports. That's a clap moment.
I think we're starting to figure Hideki out slowly but surely, because there's two ways to look at it. One, he could be so pissed this week, and like, but he started last week. There's that picture of him putting in the rain. Hideki,
that's not a good sign, though.
No, but he's I say this in a positive way. Like, he is a perfectionist above all possible measure. Like, he's going to be rage mode. He was rage mode. He was launching the drivers on the range after the round on Friday. You still don't see any chance that he wins.
Like I said, I saw some scary things from Hideki last week. It was not good. And I almost got involved in something I shouldn't have with the ball hunt. We talked about. It wasn't good.
But would you consider any of those guys, Spieth, Berger, Hideki, Tommy, Mav, Aaron Rye, all below 25 to 1?
Berger T2, what is he? 18 to 1 without?
That's 18.
I like that. Start the card there. I started my card around there this week, I think. You can still get a nice card.
How do you deal with the chart with the without market?
Fade.
Okay, so
it makes it even easier to make cards, to be honest.
If I'm understanding this correctly, chart still counts in the without market. You wouldn't bet someone on the chart in the without market, even though the chart is in the normal market.
Yeah, correct. Okay. No. All the chart is a guide to get me off of a golfer.
So if a name appears on that chart, doesn't matter how you're thinking about that player, you're out.
You and I talk about golf. I talk about golf more than 99.9% of people in the world. Do I think I'm a great golf picker, golf bettor? No. I think the reason I'm successful in this field and in this like golf betting world is by not picking guys. Like, the chart gives me reason to not select guys. Same way, like, not picking live guys in majors, just getting off of guys to lead me on to other random people sometimes they win. Because if it was easy, we'd all be winning. It's not easy. So I just try to find little nuances.
So you're saying it hones you in on players, even if that doesn't work every week, that just because you do that on a normal basis, it's your process and it helps dial you in.
I mean, it hasn't not worked over the last 4 seasons. So I'm just
I suppose I've always been a full supporter of the chart strategy. I was just curious how you thought about the without, because a guy finishes second, you'd be right that he was on the chart and he didn't win, but you could have made money. And so I was just curious how you thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was close to.
I could
close to
see
Vic this
you
week.
doing the flip side and saying like I actually do support it in the without market because that is the chart not winning.
Yeah, I was close to betting Vic this past week in the without market. I like starting the card there. Chart.
Okay.
Couldn't bet him.
So when someone's on the chart, you don't believe they'll finish first or second in the tournament. That's all that the chart's about.
The thing is, if they finish second, I wouldn't be like kicking myself. It's just the process.
Fair. And shout out Golf Tips Checker on Twitter for the chart. Who do you think is going to be on the chart this week, writ large?
Davey Rye, just absolute simpleton behavior. Obviously, finished runner-up last week, win last week. Why would you think Davey Rye is going to play well this week? I don't know. Maybe to look at the leaderboards. It's so obvious. So I think Davey Rye will be on the chart. I haven't dug too deep. I could see Striper Berger being on the chart.
I've got Harry Hall on the chart.
Yeah.
Because Harry Hall finished T19 at the PGA, got some time on the Cove, and almost won here 2 years ago.
That's right. Oh, Aaron Rod chart for sure.
Really? He's only 20.
I think so.
He's 35 to 1.
He won at 40 to 1s. I think he's gonna be chart.
Rye beating Scottie.
This is a Cam Davis course, by the way.
CD around the greens last week was special, would be an understatement. It was so great to see him up there. And then people in the Discord are instantly, they're like, you guys are going to be pissed because you're not on CD. First of all, I would not be. If CD wins and I'm not on him, he beat Akshay at the Rocket. And I had Akshay. And I wasn't like, I was sad that Akshay didn't win, but I was happy that CD won. I'll support CD all the time. Classic CD performance. He gained like 800 strokes putting on Thursday. He was just hitting them full speed on like 40-foot breakers, and they were zooping on into the cup. It was so sick.
CD also has an opportunity to, I mean, this is not a bad course for him, but he would win Sudal by a lot. At least get in the mix. Hard mix.
He would win. He gained 6 strokes putting in the first round. His first round stats were 1.2 off the tee, negative approach, negative around the green, +6 putting.
And then he only gained 3 for the tournament putting.
Yeah, because in the next round he lost 3.5 putting, but gained 2.5 around the greens.
He gained strokes in every single category for the first time since his win at the Rocket.
I mean, I'd bet CD.
What are his odds this week? And then without 50.
CD without. Hold on, it's tough having the double odds up on the screen. We got so many Davises. So he's 110 in the normal market and 80 in the without. I'd bet CD in the without at 80.
That's a no-brainer. Official pick of the pod. It worked last time we did this.
Yeah, I'm. This could be a BG situation. Did you regret not? Why didn't you have BG in the without market? He would have been massive odds, and he could have won the without market. He almost backdoored the without. He was on fire on Sunday.
Because if BG wins, it's a Vic for the pod.
Okay, that's right. Okay, this next tier of guys: Harris, Siwoo, Posty, Bob Mack, shot around par at Quail. He was up there for a few minutes. JJ Spaun, international drawsman Michael Kim. You asking Michael Kim on Twitter when he became a drawsman was so good.
Responded so thoroughly too. Yeah, that was funny. Spaun though. Spaun, I could see Spaun being chart. Like he was there Thursday, Friday at Quail. This is definitely one in Texas before. Solid golf this season. I mean, not rocket science with Spaun, positional track. Spaun I think is a good play.
All these guys are 50. Actually, I'll give you 45 on BG, and then the rest of these guys are 50 in the without. Glove, Bud, Ryan Gerard, Akshay, and BSB Novak. And that's Andrew Novak for the folks who don't know who BSB is. And for people who don't know what it stands for, it's ball striking bastard. And we
We've
invented
actually never said that.
We've never said that part. We invented that long ago. He was like first round leader, or he was like near first round leader, maybe at like the Honda way back in the day. And he gained like so many strokes ball striking, but he lost so many putting. And then he did it for like a few events in a row. And we declared him BSB Novak for ball striking bastard Novak at that moment. And now he's a well rounded all green Xander player.
Yeah, so shout out BSP. I think this is a good course for him. Definitely was grinding. I saw him tweet on Sunday that he wanted to play golf. He knows what he wants. He wants to get the Bethpage, and this is you need a well-rounded game around Colonial. And I believe he did a video with Joseph Lamagna, and he talks really highly of Quail. I think he also talked really highly of TPC San Antonio on that same video. Almost won there. Sorry, not Quail. Colonial.
Do you think it hurt? I think it's a good course for BSB. Do you think it hurt his Ryder Cup chances because he was in the group with Keegan and he did not play good? +8.
He ejected on the last few holes. He was right there. He was around par, around the cut, and then he ejected hard late. Because I was tracking because Mav was in that group, and what the Ryder Cup hopefuls, Mav and Keegan. I mean, and Novak. None of them beat Keegan. So tough.
Yeah, you can't lose to the captain because then he's better off picking himself. Yeah, that was not great. But I do think it's a great bounce back spot for. I'm just surprised Akshay's theoretically better at golf than a lot of these guys. He used to be favorite in events like this, not with Scottie, obviously, but like last year in the summer against these weak fields, he was in the 20s almost every week.
He's 50 in the without. I think that's a good number. I mean, this is definitely one of the better Akshay courses we've gotten since, I would say, Colonial. I mean, sorry, Harbor Town, which is a good comp. But I like Akshay because he hasn't had a good course fit since Harbor Town, and that he gained almost 7 on approach there. But outside of that, on non-Akshay courses, he's been bad. Now, this is one Akshay course.
Yeah. I think if you just consider what he's capable of from like a ball striking and putting perspective, and for me, we didn't talk about like what the keys are at Colonial, but for me, give me like balanced driving. You don't need to be amazing, but you just need to be solid enough. If you got a little distance, that's fine. But spike approach, spike putting is the path, and Akshay can do that. He does it often, and now you just hope that it all comes together. But at 50 to 1 in the without, that'd be interesting.
I will say, side note, to tout our course report. I think it's a great job that you already done, Adam. We did have an anonymous caddy ask us for the course report for this week just a few hours ago. So if you want to get on the site and see the report, definitely take a look. Just for the week. Try it out.
That's sick. You'll have to tell me who it is because I
will. I'll tell you off the pod.
Got to be rooting for them this week for sure. Tom Kim, just for a second there, looked like Tom Kim might be back at Quail. Didn't last long. Hodges, he's
I know Hodges.
What do you see from Hodges? I
was taught all my Hodges knowledge by our good friend Devo. But yeah, he was doing some amazing things early on in the season. We were on him a ton, T11 every single week or better. The injury, the speed is down. He's not hitting the driver as long and not hitting it as solid as he's been. That's kind of showing in the results and the stats. So definitely a backseat to Hodges until further notice.
All right. What would you consider driver putter guys? Would you consider Grazerman, Pearson, Jake Knapp, Toasty? Mike Thor was up there for a while at Quail. Shout out Mike Thor for showing out on the big stage.
Great course for him.
Tailor-made guy.
I will say there's a world to driver putter it. Like I know Kokrak he spiked on approach, I believe, like you said, but what Kokrak is at the core, and if you know the sightlines around Colonial, which Jordan Spieth and few others do, you can make some hay. But they did change a little bit of the course last year, and I think that showed in some of the guys' results who are usually Colonial merchants. So this is usually a big spot for course history, but take it with a grain of salt these last 2 years.
I will say I don't think the renovation changed that much how the course plays. I think like a little bit, but overall I think it's largely the same. You have to drive it a little bit better, I would say, than you did before. But yeah, like, and what I wrote up about Colonial on the site is that it is, to me, one of the harder tournaments to figure out because there is a variety of paths. Like, very rarely when it's a tournament where I've at least hit the winner at some point before. Usually I feel like somewhat confident going into those tournaments that at least I know the type of golfer that I'm looking for. I hit Burns here on kind of a driver putter thinking, but I still don't feel like I'm confident or I would necessarily go back to that style of player just because I think Burns was just better at golf then.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on the style that we're going for this week.
Which of these is the most disrespectful 100 to 1 guys in the without? Vegas, Seamus, Eck, or Nicky Nations?
Nicky Nations, without a doubt. 100 to 1 without. I mean, you give him a clean lie. Who knows what could happen?
Why
the greatest iron player to ever live?
They don't just give away the par 3 contest at the Masters.
Could you imagine Scottie or Michael Block with Nicky Nations approach game?
Nicky Nations the last 2 weeks has striped his irons beyond belief. Not beyond belief, because it's fully believable if you're a Nicky Nations supporter. And for those who don't know who Nicky Nations is, it's Nico Echeverria. And we've been Nico guys for a long time because we saw him play 2 years ago at Saw with Posty, and I've never seen better flushing ever.
He has a weird
on him since.
His release and this weird little hitch he has at the bottom, he just extends it at the perfect time, and it's so like floppy, but it's just so flush. It's like he's a par 3 merchant. He's a middle of the fair. If he's in the middle of the fairway, he will put it. How often does he put it to 1 foot in the practice round? It's like you think we're joking.
Anytime you're like walking past a hole and you see a ball like come flying in from like a bunker from way out in the fairway and it just hits like 3 feet from the pin, and we always look at each other like, oh, I wonder who that was. And you're like peering, you can kind of see in the distance, it's Nicky Nations every time.
Every time. Never once hasn't been Nicky Nations.
I just don't get why. And I think Innisbrook is one of my favorite comps here. And we were on Nicky Nations at Innisbrook when he was in the final group. Why don't the books ever respect him?
I had this conversation with Dom regularly, and I don't know. Like, we've seen this happen with who did this happen? This happened with someone, I think, last year or 2 years ago, where they won multiple times and they never got respected by the books. Like, if Nicky Nations wins this week or mixes, I'm not like, we know a Latin American guy can win here. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, Grillo winning here was so sick, and that afterwards he declared, like, and who would have known this about Grillo, that he had told himself he couldn't retire until he won Colonial. Like, little did we imagine knowing that about Grillo. You'd bet him every year, but like, who would have known that the only thing that, because Grillo's known as like an unmotivated golfer, like he doesn't try half of the time, but deep in his heart he always wanted to win Colonial, and he did.
Wants that truck, and he did. That was Harry Hall, right?
Mm-hmm. And he drove it. He drove it
into the stream,
and it was rolling backwards down the stream for like 5 minutes, and they couldn't touch it because the ball was still moving. That was awesome.
And then he made the playoff, and he didn't practice the playoff. He gave his clubs to kids to like have some shots. You can. It's so good.
That was so good. Okay. Random Euro of the week. We're fresh off Marco Penge. It's hard to even think of random Euros. Can Aldi Potts play good here?
No, I don't think he could. Random Euro of
the week. For the record, I haven't liked Carl in a long time. I like Carl this week. 200 to 1.
You like Carl here? Random Euro of the week. You know, where did Danny Willett finish at the PGA Championship?
Danny Willett, Masters.
Wait, I'm thinking of someone else. I might be.
Danny did not.
No, I'm thinking of Matt Wallace. Matt Wallace finished T17. Very confusable people. I was gonna say Danny Willett. Dude, this is a tough week for random Euro of the week.
It honestly is.
Really is. Harry Higgs, Myrtle Beach champion, maybe.
Could Chris Ventura's the fact that I was getting ready to say something about Chris Ventura and then you said Harry Higgs. Fox, you guys. So for the record, I wanted to have Fox in a tweet, Ryan Fox tweet to promote Boots, and you guys were out. Do you regret that because he won at Quail through the opening 18 holes?
Yes, that was a good tweet, and that would have done numbers after the fact that we tweeted that on Thursday, but we didn't. But that's why you're the caption god. That is your name.
Sammy Valimaki could be random Euro of the week. Why not?
First round leader.
low Viking Cup between Jespy Svens and Sammy Valimaki and the heavy ball of Chris Ventura.
I would go with Sammy.
I agree with that. Okay, Sudal, we've got this week up on the site. Jers trying to get it for 3 in a row on the DP. Who knows if this? I only once ever have hit 3 in a row on any tour, and it was the DP in the fall of not last fall, but maybe the fall before. And the person who finished it off, Jordan Smith at the Portugal Masters.
Who could forget? Also, Thomas Peters, Portugal Masters champion, I believe. So good vibes there, good synergy.
That stretch was sick. Otegi, Yanni Paul, Jordan Smith back to back.
Yanni Paul in the most birdie fest tournament that's ever existed on Earth. It was literally Kapalua times 3.
Yanni Paul almost won at Sudal. I had Ryan Fox in the mix against Sam Horsfield, and Sam Horsfield was striping into a different dimension. And now I bet him every week on LIV, and he's non-competitive.
If you're in this deep into the pod, Jeremy Paul, new caddy this week. Take that what you want with it, but I'm sure it's really important information.
There's your random year of the week, Jers. We got the LPGA as well. I walked by when it was in New Jersey a couple weeks ago. I was walking on the West Side Highway with my girlfriend. I'm just walking on down. All of a sudden, I see these signs: get on the boat to go to the LPGA in Jersey City at
Liberty
National. And there was no one in the lines at all. I see a couple of people who look like they're part of the event. They've got like the credentials and stuff like that. Later that day, Riss texted me. He's like, or I think I texted, I don't remember how it came up. But Riss was like, yeah, there's no one at the event. And I saw with my own eyes, there was nobody getting on these boats. I considered right in that moment, you could buy tickets on the spot. And there was I think Nelly was mixing, like a lot of the top players were mixing. I considered just hopping on the boat and going over and watching some LPGA.
Yeah, I'm considering going to the ShopRite, which I don't believe is called the ShopRite anymore. It's down in like Galloway in South Jersey. And I've heard from a friend that works for the LPGA that it's the best week of the year because I believe it's only a 3-round event and the vibes are just like immaculate there. So I might go down there this year.
How bent is the ShopRite?
Oh my God. Beyond imagination. Beyond imagination.
We need to ask for risks for the bent LPGA putting data for the ShopRite. That's the most guaranteed winner we've ever had. All right, well, LPGA will be up on the site as well. Will we do fast greens tomorrow? Do we got that coming up? Yeah, we'll have some fast greens tomorrow for the folks. We appreciate everyone. If you made it this far, you're a true ball nerd. You're a true friend of the program. We appreciate you. We couldn't do this without you. Thanks, cheers.